Springbok Rugby 2026. Here, come. Noordkaap, your take, where are we sitting?
Yeah, I think if you look back in the SAA game and the Barbarians match, I think it was a little bit loose. It wasn't really as structured and clearly out and out and it's also the kind of opponents we faced. It was expected that it was going to be one of those. But I think now that we've actually trimmed down the squad, we've kind of got back to where and how we know we should bully teams. We're actually looking like the old Springboks as old. If you look at what happened yesterday against the English, phenomenal. Just those first 20-15 minutes, forwards rolling up the sleeve and getting it dirty. So and I think what's nice to see is how we're developing, and we'll speak about it later on. The small things that same picture, but the execution and the options within the picture is different. And that to me is good.
Anthony, your take of Springbok Rugby at the moment, where are they?
As an Englishman.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one to answer. You guys are, I think, obviously the best team in the world. Winning back-to-back World Cups is special, but then to continue on, building beyond that, I think, is the mark of what Razzie's built. I think if I look at the game yesterday, I think there's so many different elements to the game. I think personally what makes this South Africa team so special is, yes, obviously, as we've seen for years, the pack is second to none. But I think the ability to play with ball in hand, play a territorial game, and select a team depending on how you want to play makes it really, really tough for teams to preview them and know what to expect. Because picking Manny Lebok at 10 compared to picking Andre Pollard, compared to picking Sasha, you're getting three very different attacking mindsets and different kind of ways that they can play the game. So I think that versatility suits the Springboks down to a T, and like I said, makes it really difficult for opposition teams. So definitely world leading, and I think with Razzie at the helm, they're going to continue to build. So yeah, watch out.
Those are kind words, Robbi Kempson from Anthony. Yeah. Your take of Springbok Rugby, we sit?
No, I think very positive. If you think of the guys that played yesterday, Portham coming off the bench, guys like Wilco Lowe, not even a part of the squad. We still got my Herbert to come back on the tight head. So we're in incredibly good health. I think Rassie's always spoken about building depth. I think he's done that in pretty much every position, particularly if we go back to the tight head side of things. I mean, that's kind of the most important part of the game, as we know, when you set the platform from, but I think he's managed to build that.
So for me, one of the things that stood out was considering the amount of locks that we were missing and the performance we put out, and also felt after 17 up, we got a bit cagey, and rightly so. You can understand last time we had a blitz starts against Australia and we kind of messed it up. Yesterday I felt there was a time whereby we had to slow it down to get the result. I think we are actually...
If you recall, it's 17
we're unreal at the moment, boys.
Yeah. 17-0 up, we had the penalty, went for the line-outs, and we missed the throw.
Yeah.
And that actually got England back into the game.
Yeah.
It actually gave them almost a third of that half, just to galvanise what they were trying to achieve and had possession. I think if we had won that line-out and kept that possession, it might have been a subtly different story.
Yeah, but you could see in the back of their minds, watching from home, I felt we're holding back. There is that thing. We've got to manage this game and get a result, especially at Ellis Park.
Yeah, and I think, we have to commend our halfback pairing for controlling the match. It's a lot of times, when especially with Grant and with Mani, they are the kind of players that want to chuck the ball around and want to give it air. But I thought the balance between when to kick, when to run, and when to, keep the momentum was actually good. Again, we refer back to what happened against Australia. In that match, I felt, because we got the dominance early on, we just kept knocking, and then eventually our forwards actually ran out of steam. Yet after probably 60th minute yesterday, our forwards were still keen to go to the dark side. So, if you look at just where we are in terms of our game management, our way of play, I think a big, pass mark must go to a halfback pairing, because they, for me, did actually well. Yes, the forwards still did what they had to do, the outside backs did, but it still takes generals to, kind of get direction and drive the team.
Let's talk about generals. General Robbi, what you got for us? What stood out for you in that test match?
I would just go to I think it's South Africa's third try, and just how they can manipulate a defence. A lot of the times, particularly in this area of the game, they were doing the pick and goes, which you'll see the England defence will just tighten up and get a lot shorter towards the ruck space. And this was from a quick tap. They just had one phase coming around. That one pass then now beats all those defenders. The second pass takes it out wide. Then Marcus Smith misses a relatively easy tackle at the end. But you see it from behind. You can just see how many of those guys it has taken out in view of the fact that they're worrying about our forward pack. And that just gives the opportunity to create the space on the outside, and then a one-on-one at the end.
So looking at the
difficult
clip,
to defend.
It goes back to that old saying, you got to earn the right to go wide. As you said, the pick up and drive, committed over time, the hard yards. England forwards had to work so much harder that they focused on that, on those pillar defence, whereby the space now is on the outside. So good reading of the space by the Springboks.
And execution, I think, is vitally important. A lot of the time, our execution in that type of areas just goes wayward.
Yeah, I think even though we, and again, I started by, pointing out the defence. I thought, there were certain things that the box showed yesterday as well that was definitely developing in terms of the attack as well. And I want to play this clip for you. If you can remember last year or the previous, specifically in the Tri Nations, how from a four-man line, we'll punch it up in the middle and then we'll actually have a kick from there. Where this time around, there was a little bit of a surprise element. Even though I felt like Chelsea should have maybe kept the ball, because if you look at it right there, if we had to set up let's say a ruck right there, in that area about there, let's say for example on the 5, on the 15, we would have had all the space out here to come back with our backs, and this is where guys like Anthony actually come alive, because you've got enough time, you can decide what you want to do, where you want to attack. But I felt that diversion in terms of getting something, same picture that England probably would have had looked at, and just bring a surprise element. We should have actually kept the ball there and actually could have actually punished them some more.
Well, Chelsea surprised everybody. I kicked it away, didn't he? You'd expect you to at least keep the ball in hand.